Today, we are diving deep into a medication that's pretty much a household name. It's a cultural icon, but it's also a really serious medical tool. We're talking about diazepam, but you probably know it as Valium. We're going to look at its incredible power to calm the mind and, of course, the huge risks that come right along with it. So how did a drug, famously nicknamed Mother's Little Helper in the 60s, this supposed miracle pill, turn into one of modern medicine's biggest cautionary tales? It's a fascinating story of a celebrated solution for anxiety that, well, became a massive problem all on its own. So let's start at the beginning. Act 1. The promise. You have to imagine it's the 1960s. Diazepam hits the scene and it feels like a total game changer. For a world buzzing with anxiety, this little pill offered a new kind of quiet, a new kind of control. It really felt like a medical revolution was happening. So what is this stuff really? Well, diazepam is part of a drug class called benzodiazepines, and its main job is pretty simple, actually. It finds the brain's #1 calming chemical, a neurotransmitter called GABA, and just cranks its volume all the way up. The result? A pretty powerful wave of sedation, anxiety relief, and muscle relaxation. To get how that works, you gotta think of the brain as having its own master brake system. Imagine your nervous system is like a car. You've got a gas pedal to speed things up and a brake to slow things down. GABA, that's the brake. Now, diazepam doesn't install a new brake. It just stomps on the one you already have, making it incredibly powerful. Let's look at exactly how it pulls that off. The whole mechanism is actually pretty elegant. Okay, so first, your brain's natural GABA, that brake pedal, it drifts towards a nerve cell receptor. Then diazepam comes along and parks itself in a little helper spot right next to it. And just by being there, it makes that receptor super, super sensitive to the GABA that was already hanging around. So the GABA latches on way more effectively, and boom, the natural braking effect gets supercharged, slowing everything down and calming the entire nervous system. And that brings us to Act 2, a tool for crises. You know, with that kind of stopping power, it's really no surprise that diazepam became an essential tool in medicine. But here's the key. It was never meant for just everyday stress. Its real value is in handling intense, short-term medical emergencies where the nervous system is just dangerously out of control. And what does that look like in the real world? We're talking about stopping a full-blown panic attack dead in its tracks, or managing the terrifying, life-threatening seizures that can happen during severe alcohol withdrawal. It's used to stop certain types of seizures, calm the body right before a major surgery, or relieve incredibly painful muscle spasms. These are serious crises, and this is where diazepam really proves its worth. All right, now for Act 3, the high price of calm, because this is where our story takes a very sharp turn. See, the very thing that makes diazepam so incredibly effective in a crisis is exactly what makes it so risky for long-term use. The brain is smart. It adapts. And the price for all this artificial calm? Well, it can be unbelievably high. To really understand that price, we need to be crystal clear on two different ideas that often get mixed up. First, there's tolerance. That's when your body just gets used to the drug and you need more and more to get the same old effect. But then there's physical dependence. That's a whole other level. That's when your brain literally rewires itself around the drug to the point where it can't function normally without it. And when you take that drug away, well, the body rebels. The result is withdrawal. And this isn't just uncomfortable, it can be medically severe. The original anxiety can come roaring back even worse than before. You can get tremors, panic attacks, nausea, even strange perceptual disturbances. And in the most serious cases, withdrawal can actually trigger life-threatening grand mal seizures. So that brings us to Act 4, a long, lingering effect. You might be wondering, why is diazepam in particular so notorious for causing such a brutal withdrawal? The answer isn't just in what it does, but in how ridiculously long it sticks around in your body. It has what's called a very long tail. Okay, first, let's just look at diazepam itself. Its half-life is between 20 and 50 hours. Now, what that means is it can take more than 2 full days for just half of one dose to leave your system. That is already an incredibly long time for a medication. But that's not even the whole story. Because as your liver breaks down the diazepam, it creates another chemical, an active metabolite that has its own calming effect. And its half-life, get this, an absolutely staggering 50 to 100 hours. This means the drug's effects are still going days and days after you take the pill. So what does that mean in practice? It means that every time you take a new dose, you're stacking it right on top of the leftovers from the last one. The drug and its active byproducts just build up and up and up in your system. This accumulation is what makes the effects so prolonged, and it's exactly why getting off the medication has to be such a slow, difficult, and always medically supervised process. So, after decades of use and all these hard lessons learned, what's the modern verdict on Valium? Well, today, it's seen as a highly specialized tool, not a go-to solution for everyday problems. Its use is now governed by some very strict guidelines, which we can actually break down into a super simple safety guide.
The easiest way to think about it is like a traffic light. Green light is for acute, short-term use only. We're talking 2 to 4 weeks max. Yellow means proceed with extreme caution, especially for the elderly or people with liver problems because they are way more sensitive to its effects. And red, that's an absolute stop. You never mix diazepam with other depressants like alcohol or opioids. That combination can slow your breathing down to a fatal level.
So, the key takeaway from all of this? The story of diazepam is one of incredible scientific discovery, but also one of really tough, hard-learned lessons. It is a powerful reminder that in medicine, sometimes the strongest tools demand the most respect and caution. And it all boils down to this. It's a powerful tool for emergencies, not a permanent solution for anxiety.